This is the Lichtman Live post show. Arguably the best post show that's ever existed on planet Earth. Okay? And nobody can talk me out of that thought process. Hello, Brent Miller from Pennsylvania. Richard Freeland is here from the Motor City. Makati Maz is here from the Philippines. Kyle Fishman, Christina Cho, Susie Garcia. Roosevelt Robinson, Seslavi. Anas Almas says hello from Iraq. Baltimore reppin'. Heck yeah. Maddie says, were you mad at your dad? You guys were arguing a lot. I was not mad at him at all. I'm just thinking critically, you know. I just have a fear that maybe he's putting all his eggs in one basket, and maybe that's a mistake. You know, I certainly do not disagree with him that misinformation is rampant. Is it the sole reason that the keys missed? I'm not exactly sure. I don't know. I'm just thinking critically. That's all. I was not angry at him at all. I hope he wasn't. I mean, I didn't want. The other thing too was like I don't want to push him too hard because he's so stressed and he's getting pushed back from so many directions. I think I said this in the live. Since the election, I've just been watching a lot of stuff and I've just been so frustrated with so many people being like, I have the answer. It's just like, I don't think you guys do. And every talking point you use to support your quote unquote answer can be, I can find 50 different things to prove your answer incorrect. So I just get a little bit worried when my dad comes in and is also going like, this is the one answer. And I just wanted to push back a little bit. And I was just thinking out loud. I don't think everything I said was the smartest thing I've ever said. I don't think everything I said was the stupidest thing I've ever said. Red Hood says, do you think the election was stolen? No, I do not. I have not seen any credible evidence that the election was stolen. Doesn't mean there's not a lot of question marks about the election. But again, there is potentially hundreds of possible answers to all these question marks. The one answer being the election is stolen is a little bit lazy in my mind. And is the same thing that Trump and MAGA and the Republicans did. So until I see some really concrete evidence, to me, it's just a lot of people saying a lot of stuff, assuming a lot of stuff. That's my opinion. Do you think Kamala should play Trump's game and not certify the election? No, I do not. Jeff says, I want to put this out there for some people. Criticizing the Dems for not being populist enough does not have to take away from the good they have done. It's only to say it can/should be better. Sure, I don't disagree that Democrats can and should be better. I don't think anybody can argue with that. Do you think the Trump administration will jail and murder us who talk bad about him? No, I do not. Robert 19 says, with the new administration's policies likely to ruin the economy and raise the cost of living, do you think a blue wave is going to happen in 2026 and 2028? I don't know. I can't say. It's too. There's too many unknowns between those two elections. I don't want to say anything about them yet. Will your dad verify his YouTube channel? How do you do that? I run the YouTube channel. I don't even think he knows how to do anything on it. I didn't know that was a thing, honestly. Well, I did know that was a thing. I just haven't thought about it. David Cott says, podcasts really matter. Kamala should have been on Rogan. And inflation, or at least the perception of it, really matters. Okay, the whole Joe Rogan thing, I don't buy into that at all. The fact that, you know, the election was decided who was or wasn't on Joe Rogan. That's ridiculous. That's absurd. I kind of do agree with you about the inflation matter. I think inflation might have killed the keys. or the perception of it, maybe. Not killed the keys, but why the keys missed. Obviously, my dad had good talking points. You know, inflation was way worse in 2022, and Democrats did great then. So, I don't know. I'm not sure. But I definitely do not buy the whole Joe Rogan, just, you know, maybe there certainly is validity to the fact that the entire media landscape that we're all living in has changed dramatically in the last 10 years. And that is certainly playing a role. And Joe Rogan might be part of that, but he's not the sole factor in that. Do you think that some of the reason that people don't think about climate change as much might partially be because they've been desensitized to constantly hearing about it? Maybe. I just think it's too existential for most people, honestly. It's a worry that is not present on a daily basis. I don't know. I think it's that simple. Josiah Brown says, it's absolutely bizarre how little Trump voters know about tariffs. I've talked with many people and they are radically uninformed. It is incorrect to think that many Trump voters are stupid. Is it incorrect to believe that many Trump voters are stupid? Yes, I believe it's incorrect to believe that many Trump voters are stupid. I don't know. Again, I don't know why they ignore things like tariffs or they're uninformed about things like tariffs. I don't. Again, there are so many question marks in this election, and there's so many possible answers to all those question marks. It's hard to wrap your mind around stuff like that. And again, I don't know if we'll ever have the answers to some of these questions, to be honest with you. Slate Video says, why compare this to the Civil War / Great Depression? I didn't compare it to the Civil War, Great Depression. I don't know who is and why they are. Clint Sane says, Lichtman is a hack. Oh, good one, Clint. Lichtman, unlike most political pontificators, here's the thing. Most political pontificators, analysts, they sit in their chairs, sit in front of cameras on YouTube, on mainstream media, wherever it might be, and they pontificate about thousands of different things. They have takes about hundreds of different things, and they never have to be held, their feet never have to be held to the fire. They never really have to be right about anything. My dad is the only one who sits there and says, I have a system to try to make a prediction, and I'm going to make a black and white prediction and put it out to the world. He's the only one out there who faces that kind of rubric, that kind of scrutiny. You know, Jen Psaki can sit on MSNBC every night and say a trillion different things, right or wrong. Nobody cares. Hassan Piker can sit on his stream, say a trillion different things, right or wrong. Nobody cares. Joe Rogan can sit on his podcast, say a trillion different things. Nobody cares whether he's right or wrong. My dad puts himself out there as a predictor, makes his prediction, he gets it wrong, and suddenly he's the hack. Right. Fucking, you're an idiot, Clint. Sorry, I don't usually like to get mad or talk like that, calling people idiots, but I don't know. You can only take so much hate and bullshit before you just call someone an idiot. You know what I mean? Like the last week or so, like there's just been so much hate, so much nonsense coming my dad's way. It's like at some point you just got to call somebody an idiot. Sorry. Where was I? Anita Loves Peaches says, where can I find this info? In which counties did Harris outperform Biden in 2020 results? Some are saying she didn't outperform in any. You can just look at, I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, but you can just look, there's, CNN has a 2024 map and a 2020 map, an interactive map that you can click into the counties, see the exact vote tallies, the exact percentages, etc. So I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. Does your dad read the channel email? No, that's my personal email, the channel email. I mean, we both, the thing about sending us email messages right now is like, I don't know, I'm sure he's gotten thousands. I've got hundreds of messages between all my social medias and emails. So unfortunately, it's just not an effective place to reach us right now. unfortunately. It's just the way it is. Did you see the Young Turks trash your dad? It makes me so mad. No, I didn't see it. And like, I don't know, again, I'm sort of in this weird place of like shock and anger, and I don't know. I kind of want to watch it, but I also think it's going to make me so mad that it's not even worth it. So I don't know. Like, I kind of want to watch it because I want to be able to combat what they're saying, but I also just know it's going to make me really, really mad. And it's like, what's the point of that? Owen says, your dad is only famous for his predictions. If he gets them wrong, his whole jig is up. You know, he's written like 14 books, right? Only like one of them has to do with the keys. So again, you're wrong. Hugh Gain says, RFK helped Trump. Harris won the no third party key. RFK dropped out, so I don't know what you mean by it. I mean, again, you know, there's so many people saying so many things, and it's virtually impossible to support a lot of this stuff. So I don't know what to tell you about the third party stuff. David Cott says, Dad was still right 9 of 11 elections, still an impressive rate. Yeah, I agree. And people combat that saying, well, polls are accurate, you know, have been accurate 8 out of 10 times. Yeah, but the polls are stupid. They don't tell you anything about the state of the country or the state of the elections. At least the keys can give you some insight into what's happening in America, right? You know, it was really frustrating because I don't watch a ton of John Oliver, but my roommate turned it on, and he started his post-election thing going, he had this spinning wheel, and he was like, if you go online, you go on the internet, you watch TV, you know, there's 1,000 different reasons why Kamala lost this race. And, you know, you can spin this wheel with all these different reasons and land on one, and you're probably right and probably wrong in some sense of the imagination. But then he went on in the same episode to do the exact same thing. You know, he basically said Kamala wasn't left enough, she wasn't pro-trans enough, she wasn't et cetera, et cetera. That was really frustrating. And it's like, the thing with everybody's take is, in my opinion, it's like everybody's right and everybody's wrong. It's like, yeah, all these theories, all these answers, all these pontifications probably have some merit and probably don't have merit in other circumstances. I mean, we're talking about millions of people who voted, right? Yeah, maybe some people didn't show up because she wasn't left enough. Maybe some people voted for Trump because she was too left, you know? Maybe some people didn't vote for her because of her being too pro-Palestinian in their mind. Maybe some people didn't vote for her because she was, you know, too pro-Israel in their mind. I mean, they're all true and they're all not true. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, it's just frustrating to watch people just pontificate about all, you know, their reason. They know why she lost. It's like, come on, guys. Do you agree that Trump should have lost the charisma key? According to my dad's definition of the charisma key, he should have lost it. But I also think that maybe my dad underestimated his charisma. But again, according to his definition, he shouldn't have gotten the charisma key. But I think his charisma played a role in this election, in my opinion. William Nimback says, the reason I voted for Trump is because I trust him more on the economy, making peace in the Middle East, and securing our borders. Okay, but why? You have to explain why you trust him more on those 3 issues. Because if you don't say why, I mean, you have no argument, essentially. Did you guys take into account that the election was rigged? I haven't seen any good evidence that the election was rigged. Alicia Marshall says, I don't know if you've heard about this at all, but what's your opinion on many incumbent party candidates losing this year around the world? I think that's, again, a valid point. Again, everybody's point is somewhat valid and somewhat invalid. You know what I mean? I think that is a valid point. Did it play a role in the election? Probably. Did it turn the election? Probably not. Underwater Levels says Harris should have been awarded 0 keys. She did not win the primary. Her level of support was not known. Well, there are plenty of people who win the keys. Well, no, I mean, sorry, rewind. That is one of my dad's points, is that we did have this unprecedented thing happen where a president dropped out 2 months before an election and somebody was anointed the nominee. That is an unprecedented thing that could have screwed up the keys. And essentially, you're saying the same thing he did. I mean, not as explicit as she deserves 0 keys, but... has any online or media pundit that has talked about post-election that you've seen... Has any online or media pundit that has talked about post-election that you've seen talk any sense? I thought Jon Stewart had a good take. Then again, they're all right and they're all wrong. It's like, it's kind of pointless and kind of necessary at the same time, these post-election analyses, you know? But no, nobody I've watched, I've been like, wow, I'm so glad I watched this. Most of it's just like, yeah, it's the same stuff everybody else is saying. Nothing really interesting being said here for the most part. I didn't see Jon Stewart's though. But I don't know. I've been sort of wishy-washy on Jon Stewart lately, honestly. Sometimes I listen to him and, you know, he's funny and engaging, and sometimes it feels like he's just so entrenched in his political ideology that it's like there's no point in listening to him. John Putnam says, enough of the rig crap. Our elections are safe and secure. No evidence of widespread fraud whatsoever. Don't stoop to the rights level. I agree with John. Luna C says, quote, you haven't seen any evidence yet that the election was rigged? Laugh out loud, Sammy. It's 1 week out from the election. There could be evidence months from now. To categorically dismiss it is not smart. I am not categorically dismissing it. I agree with you that if evidence arises that the election was rigged or still, whatever word you want to use, I think we should take it seriously. But I'm just saying, to this point, I haven't seen that. I'm not saying it's impossible or will never happen. Will says, what do I have to do for you to ask Allan my question, Sam? Will, we get so many questions right now. I didn't even see we get so many questions now, I can't even see everybody's question. I didn't even see that you asked a question, so I'm not exactly sure. Zara Tehrani says, as an Iranian national, I will face a travel ban again despite having NIW EB2 approval. Many other qualified EB professional candidates might also be blocked from moving to the yes. I know that's a very big issue. I am worried about that. I mean, the only saving grace is he did try to do it last time and the courts blocked him. But, you know, I feel terrible for people on DACA. I mean, who the hell knows what's going to happen with DACA? I don't know. Nobody knows, but it's concerning for sure. Do you believe a Dem party battle is coming in 2028? I don't know what you mean by that exactly, by a Dem party battle. Just that there'll be a lot of people on, crazy ends of all over the spectrum of the Democratic Party running. Yes, but I always think that happened in 2020 too. I mean, the primary, there was people all over the spectrum running for that seat. And, you know, the thing that also confuses me is all these people saying Kamala was too centrist, she was too left-wing. I mean, she was too right-wing. She has a further left record in the Senate than Bernie Sanders does. Again, it's like everybody's point that they make, you can combat with some sort of fact. So it just does my head in, I guess. Marco says Kamala was a phony. I mean, if you were watching, I feel like if you watch my videos back coming up to the election, especially my Fox News analysis, I was getting worried. I was like, I mean, I don't think she's a phony, but I was like, she's not running a good, they're not running a good election. I started getting nervous. And obviously hindsight is 2020, but I don't think they ran a good election. It was just a very confusing, again, there are so many things that contradict each other. She ran too centrist, but then again, she's the most left-wing senator, one of the most more left-wing than 98% of senators. You know, she had all this enthusiasm, except that she got now, I mean, they're still counting votes, but almost 10 million less votes than the least enthusiastic candidate ever, Biden. You know, I don't know. There's just so many things that don't align, you know? So, again, I just don't think there's an answer. Toya says, I think they ran a good election in 100 days. Again, that's a good point, too. You know, I said that she didn't run a good election. She was set up to fail. She had no time to run a good election. I think that's true, too. Tim Walz for president 2028. I love him. He wouldn't be my first choice. Tim says the answer is Starlink, but voting machines aren't even connected to the internet. So how is the answer Starlink? Can you answer that for me? Hold on one second. BRB. Sorry about that. You know, one thing I was thinking when I was walking to the door, you know, people were upset this time around that, you know, there wasn't this good old fight of a primary and we didn't get the candidate everybody wanted. But in 2020, when there was a giant field, a giant pool of candidates, who wins? The one that the left says is terrible, the one that everybody thinks is boring and old, Joe Biden wins. So this idea, again, that the primary was the, you know, this robust primary is the answer. We had a robust primary in 2016, and Joe Biden won. You know, I don't know. I think, you know, one of the things I feel most upset about and just demoralized about, you know, after this election is like, I feel like we're in the exact same place we were after 2016. Like, the country has not progressed at all in its mindset, in its political discourse. It's like you could almost play, you know, if you recorded what people said after 2016 and what they said after 2024 and you played it, it'd be like they'd be miming each other. You know what I mean? It's like the left is still blaming the center is still blaming the left, the right is still blaming the left is still blaming. It's the exact same playbook. It's the exact same talking points. It's like we've gone nowhere as a country. It's like we haven't had any sort of aggressive thoughtfulness, you know? Like, that's why I just got so upset with watching John Oliver. It's like, dude, you're just saying the same stuff the left has been saying for the last 10 years. You're not saying anything interesting or new. The right's not saying anything interesting or new, you know. The right's gloating like they were in 2016. The left is blaming the center. like they were in 2016. The center's blaming the left like they were in 2016. I mean, it's like freaking deja vu, and it makes me sick to my stomach because it's just like we couldn't progress at all. We couldn't get to a point where like we're just not in the exact same place we were. Sherry says Groundhog Day. Exactly. And that's what I think has been the most demoralizing to me, has just been the whole Groundhog Day of this all. And I don't see us, I don't know. I hope things change in terms of political messaging and discourse and all that. But I don't know. I'm not very hopeful because it hasn't since 2016, it seems. Marcus says, someone give Sammy weed. I mean, I'm fine. I'm on a live stream talking about politics. I'm fine. Like, nothing's wrong in my life, obviously, personally, but it's just frustrating. Dog's Domain says, if the electorate votes based on the keys, wouldn't the misinformation only be relevant if it affected the electorate's perception of the keys? Someone should test this hypothesis by polling voters. I'm not exactly sure what you're saying, to be honest with you. Dave Chappelle should run in 2028 as a Democrat. The authenticity is there. Maybe. If you've ever watched me, you know I don't like celebrities running for office, so I don't know. But it worked twice for a Republican, so maybe I'm wrong. But I just don't like the idea of it personally. Matt Stone says, a proper primary where all the party's strongest candidates compete produces your strongest candidate. That's why Biden won in 2020, but Hillary and Kamala lost. I like that. I like that point. That's a good point. Prime Minister Bette Midler says, no to celebrities, yes to Muppets. I'm on board with that. 100% on board with that. Who would I support in 2028? I don't know. We'll have to. It's so far away. I personally would like a more progressive candidate. Again, and this is where I feel like the left falls down a lot. Like, I probably agree with most left-wing streamers and YouTube. Like, I agree with them probably on most policy issues. The thing I feel like they do is they turn themselves into militants. And they're always constantly blaming everybody else, and their whole messaging and their whole structure of being is what I don't like. But I would want a progressive candidate. Sam, do you think this country will ever have a woman as president? At this point, I don't know. It's funny because I remember in an earlier stream saying, like, I feel like things in politics happen in the way you don't expect them. Like, we all expected Hillary to be the first woman president. She wasn't. And I was like, that makes me think this unexpected woman, Kamala Harris, is going to end, and she didn't. So now I don't know. Now I have no idea. Grizzly Tastov says, think it will go like it did for the GOP in 2006? I have no memory of how it went for the GOP in 2006. So here's the good news. We got the power of the internet. I can look that up. So what is it? Just look up. ...2006 election. During this election, in a political revolution that broke 12 years of Republican rule, the Democratic Party swept into power, winning majorities in both chambers of Congress. Do I think? I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know. I feel like asking me for predictions right now is not good. Like, I'm just not in the prediction mood right now. After my dad got his prediction wrong, and I was on the same wave as him, so. What's worse and best case scenario for you in the Trump presidency? I guess worst case scenario is he ends DACA, he deports millions of people, he ruins immigration status of millions of people on work visas, he dismantles the institutions of the federal government like the EPA, et cetera, et cetera. He tanks our economy through tariffs or whatever it might be. Best case scenario is he basically gets nothing done. The economy glides on because of the work that the Biden-Harris administration does. And then, Democrats win midterms and win in 2028. That's the best case scenario. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say, I hope he passes things that are good. Of course I do, right? He's not said anything that I think is necessarily good policy decision. So it's hard to say what the best case scenario is because most things he says makes no sense to me in terms of his concrete policy decisions. So I don't know. Tim S. Love says, Joe Rogan said that Elon Musk had an app and knew 4 hours in advance. Yeah, that was weird. That was really weird and really strange. And yeah, someone should look into that because that is really weird. Now, Hero Chan says, best case scenario is just he cuts taxes for the rich and then F's off to play golf like the last time. Yeah. Sammy, I hear you're secretly working on your own key system. That is not true. Secretary of State Andrew says, Elon might have hacked voting tabulators. It's starting to look like. Since the election, I've only seen people say that. I have not seen anybody provide any evidence. I've seen a lot of people just say that. That's just a string of words together. That's just an accusation. You need evidence to back your accusation. Jeff Roy Castro says, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will lead what President-elect Trump is calling the Department of Governance Efficiency, or DOGE, Trump announced Tuesday. Yeah, I am not excited for either of those guys to have any governmental power, to be honest with you. I think they're both really scummy, bad faith people. Miss Cynthia says it wasn't an app. Elon used poly markets. Okay, well, how would he use poly markets to know who won? Was he just predicting based on the poly markets? I don't know. Whatever. However, if that's true, then Joe Rogan delivered it terribly because it sounds sketchy as hell. Thank you, Will, for your kind words. No Bad the Adventurous says, one good thing, Ruben Gallego beat Kerry Lake in Arizona. Thank God, man. Seriously, that is a great thing, honestly. He won pretty handedly, too. How many votes did he win by? Why don't they tell you how many votes they won by? CNN Senate map. He won by 72,000 votes. I mean, that's decent in Arizona. It's not a huge state. I mean, not a small state either, but they haven't called PA yet? Huh. That's weird. Kamala got less votes in Arizona than Kerry Lake. Is that true? It still doesn't prove fraud, right? Again, it's just a statement. It's just, I mean, it is a fact, but again, even if you look at a fact like Kari Lake got more votes than Kamala, it doesn't necessarily mean that the answer to that is fraud. You know what I mean? What is this bullshit? This is the interactive. Nobody needs the interactive map anymore, CNN. Just delete it. The final votes for the PA Senate come in the mail today. Can the Democrats still win? Is it possible? Probably not. Dave McCormick's almost 30,000 votes ahead. And when we saw mail-in ballots, they had like in 2020 between Biden and Trump, Biden had like a 3,000 net gain. So like, you know, even if he has a 10,000 net gain, which would be unprecedented, he would still lose. So I don't think he's going to win. Fantana says correlation does not mean causation. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Appreciate that. What were we looking at? Oh yeah, Senate. So Kari Lake got 1.5 million votes in Arizona. Okay, well, they both got 1.5. 1.5, 27, 1.5. So that's not even true. So that's not even a fact. I mean, it's still very close, but Harris got more votes than Lake did. Again, even a fact does not mean that, right? Correlation does not make causation. I mean, it's weird. It's fucking weird. I don't know why it happened. Tulak says, I hope your dad gets my essay email. Tulak, I have to be honest with you, dude. There's no shot he's reading your essay email. He's probably got thousands of I mean, I've even gotten hundreds of emails and messages in the last... And like, dude, it's just not possible to read all those. And especially if it's an essay, I wouldn't count on it. Sammy, you're going to take over the keys in 2028? No, probably not. Raw Vegan God says, they won by hacking and creating split votes, all swing states. It's being investigated right now. Well, if it's being investigated, hopefully they will come to the truth, whatever that may be. Why are 11 million votes missing? It's not quite 11 million, but it's, I don't know why. I have no idea. Nobody knows. I mean, there's a lot of possible reasons. Maybe it's because the Democrats didn't have a primary. Maybe it's because they kicked out the guy who got 10 million more votes. Maybe it's because of misinformation. You know, there's so many reasons possibly why. Look at AOC's ticket splitting feedback. What does that mean? AOC ticket splitting. Oh, right. I did see this, that some of her supporters voted for her and Trump. If I play this, is CNN going to ding me?
While you're hawking them, you are...
Very Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, very progressive New Yorker. She went on Instagram to ask people, looking at the polls and realizing, like, hey, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people that voted for me in my district and also voted for Donald Trump. Why? But like, she asked in a nice way to explain, and some of the response, she's posting the responses, some of them, Quote, it's real simple. Trump and you care for the working class. Quote, I feel that you are both outsiders compared to the rest of D.C. and less establishment. Quote, I support you and did this. Felt like I didn't have much of a choice after Biden's administration. What do you think?
Well, and some of those notes also struck a chord when it comes to authenticity, right? They talked about being authentic.
I mean, again, this is what I was trying to say with, like, on my dad's stream. It's like some people, like, they're not misinformed. They're not, like, brainwashed. They just like what they like. And, you know, like, they see Trump as an outsider. They see her as an outsider. They see both of them working. Whether they're right or wrong about it, that's just how they feel.
Candidates for office. Listen, Donald Trump increased his share in that New York City district, AOC's district, by double digits. So you're seeing, and I think you're going to see a lot more of this analysis go on, especially in this.
Maybe some of it's misinformation. But yeah, this doesn't quite line up, this whole split ticket AOC Trump thing.
States where you saw a high level of ticket splitting. Whether it be Democratic senators holding their own in Wisconsin, electing obviously a Democratic governor in North Carolina, while losing the state to Donald Trump, you're going to see these Democrats, I think, now reassess what messaging kind of broke through and what Donald Trump was able to.
The issue is, I feel like if you were ever to sit down with any of these people and say, you know, what has Donald Trump done for the working class versus what has AOC done for the working class, you'll be able to cite a lot of things that AOC has tried to do for the working class and almost nothing that Trump has tried to do for the working class. That's the difference, right? Rolo says, Sam, how the hell was Illinois so close? Sam, I can't sleep anymore. The next administration accelerate climate change will destroy us all. God. Let's hope that by the time his administration is over, he hasn't done enough damage to make that big of an impact. And maybe technology will come out that will be able to not only stop climate change, but reverse some of its negative effects. That's all I can say. Illinois was not close at all. What are you talking about? I mean, maybe it was closer than 2020. Is that what you're saying? I mean, she won by 500,000 votes. Illinois is very red when you take away Chicago. Guys, land doesn't vote. This is not an accurate representation of population, okay? This is simply a map of land colored in red and blue. Did you guys see this clip of Joe Rogan being like, look at America, look how red it is? It's like, bro, are you that dumb, dude? Do you not realize that that's a land map and not a population map? Like, that doesn't... Did anybody else see that? It's just like, dude, like... I learned about that when I was like 16. You're a full-grown man and you're sitting there looking at the land map and being like, well, look how red America is. Also, the red portions are just colored red. They don't have the blue votes colored, and the blue areas don't have, like, there's no red here, but there's 47,000 red votes here. You know, there's no blue here, but there's 7,000 blue votes here. It's like, are you that dumb? Like, is he that dumb, or is he like purposely trying to mislead people, or like, I just don't get it. I just don't freaking get it. I don't know if they have one of these yet. Okay, let's do 2020. Right? This is a more accurate representation of how America looks. Not a freaking land map that's colored in like a fifth grader would color in a map. Right? He showed something like, he showed this map, I think. And here it is. What U.S. election maps are widely misleading, right? He showed this and he was like, wow, I think this is even 2020. This might not even be, it might be redder. Look, this map is a lot more accurate to how the country votes. But again, like this is like civics level, like high school civics level understanding of politics and elections. It's like, is he really that dumb, or is he like, I don't know. And he had Theo Von on, I think, on that episode. And like, I like Theo Von a lot, but he, you know, he's just sitting there like, wow, man, wow. It's like, it's kind of baffling to me that a guy like that has such a large following when he doesn't have basic civic, you know, high school civics level understanding of population and election maps. Drives me nuts. Theo Von is so much dumber than Rogan. I don't know, man. When I said I like Theo Von, I like his comedy. I think he's funny. His political takes are not good, in my opinion, but... Carl Creighton says, did Kamala win? I've been away. That's a troll. Yeah, she won, bro. Congrats. How do Democrats win back the straight male vote? That's a good question. I don't know. That's another thing, is like, sometimes it's like, obviously, like most of these political people are in the job of talking, which like sets them up for failure. Like sometimes the answer is, I don't know. Obviously, if they get back the working class vote, a lot of that will be white straight men. So maybe that's their first focus. Jackie says, I miss seeing your dad with you. We just had a live show with both of us. Like, when was that? An hour ago. So I'm not sure what you're saying. What do you think about Governor Newsom Trump proof in California? Go for yes. Yes, that's what I think about it. Yes. Texas was moving blue, but there's sexism/racism stopped that train. Texas is still a red state. I don't know. Everybody's always, Texas is red, blue, we're moving blue. Texas is a red state. Until I see otherwise, Texas is a red state. Boyo says, as a straight white male Dem, I am not particularly thrilled about the Democratic Party. All the Dems I know my age in Northeast Pennsylvania are the same way. Shockingly, my area flipped from Obama to Trump. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a straight white male. I voted for Harris. Most of my friends, not most of them, but I have a lot of friends who are straight white males. They voted for Harris. So I don't know. I don't know what the difference is between me and some guy in Pennsylvania. I guess, again, working class. Maybe that's the only difference. EWAG says, I didn't expect Texas to turn blue this year, but I do think it's likely in 2028. I don't think it's likely. Do I know about the Alfie Oaks story? No. Boyo says, I'm from a very blue collar area from Scranton, PA, like Biden, but I respect your perspective too. I respect yours too, bro. Hamburger V2 says, in my opinion, voters were uninformed, and that is why people voted for Trump. There were Trump AOC voters. Yes, we just talked about that. Google Alfie Oaks. What is this going to be? If this is bad, I'm going to be pissed. Feds raid home of Republican donor. Lawsuit alleges he failed to repay millions. Who is this? He's just a MAGA guy who forgot to pay back his loans. Raw Vegan God says, you're not looking at what's happening. Russia and Elon. You're just stating words. What about them? Do you have any proof that they did anything? I don't know what that proved. Nothing. Raw Vegan God says, all swing states split votes. Okay, but that doesn't prove... something happening in the election doesn't prove that Elon Musk or Russia did something. People can vote split votes. It happens all the time. Effin' Music Man says, talk to a white guy in his 20s who listens to Rogan. Dude hates trans people and thinks the economy sucks. Oh, and anti-vax too. But there's not enough of them to swing an election. Will Beretta says, Sammy, you're one funny guy, man. I don't know if you're being sarcastic or genuine. If you're being genuine, thank you. If you're being sarcastic, F you, bro. Kamala runs in 28? That's a good question. That's something I had not thought about yet. Huh. That's an interesting thought. Probably not. But who the hell knows, man? She'll be the only Democrat who's been in a general election, unless Hillary runs, you know? The Keggy says Kamala has no chance in a primary. I don't know about that. Michelle Obama would be the strongest candidate to win. Potentially. Kamala only got 2% in the 2020 primary. Yeah, but 2028 is a different time. Joe Biden didn't do jack-ish for what, he ran 2 or 3 times before he won. Things change, man. She's a vice president of the United States. That changes things in people's minds. Michelle's not interested in running. I know. Tim Eslov says, I love y'all's optimism and our future voting rights. Oh, man, Tim. Don't bring us down. I want to see what she got in 2020. I mean, she dropped out before... Yeah, she dropped out before any voting actually took place. Didn't she? Yeah. So we don't actually really know. I mean, maybe she was polling that poorly. But again, things change in politics very quickly. Kamala was a mistake. But yes, Marco, you get the privilege of having your take after the election where you already know the answer. So thanks for that. The House is just 2 seats from GOP control. Yikes. There's a seat in Oregon that's leaning blue. A couple seats in California. Why is California being so slow on their election results? And everybody says it's a big state, but it's like there's only 79. It's been a week. There's only 79% reporting. Like, get your shit together, California. How close is the House right now? I don't know. 80 Mart says, Sam, you're forgetting that elections are decided by only a few 100,000 votes in a few swing states. Disinformation, disinfo that massively can swing an election. Yeah, you're not wrong about that, obviously. But again, math shrinks really quickly. It's like, all right, we're talking about disinformation from Joe Rogan's podcast. All right, let's say there's like 5 million dudes out there who like love Joe Rogan, watch him every day. They're convinced with him politically, right? 5 million of them. Let's look at the state of Arizona, right? Let's say 20,000 of them are in Arizona, 10,000 of them are registered to vote, 5,000 of them show up, and 4,000 of them vote for Trump, right? Like the math shrinks very quickly. Can Harris still win the popular vote? I don't think so. She's still like, oops. Oh my God. How far away is she? Why don't they tell you she's what? Still 3 million votes off. She's not going to make that up. Sammy, do you think Kamala ran a good campaign? I don't, and I think Bernie would have beaten Trump. I do not think she ran a good campaign. I have no idea if Bernie would have beaten Trump. Anybody who says he would have are purely speculators. Most of their evidence is based off of polling, which everybody knows is not accurate, so nobody knows. Midas Touch Channel reported what Putin officials said to Trump. What did he say to Trump? Lori Bass says, I love Bernie. I love Bernie too. I love him too. The issue is he hasn't won an election. I mean, I don't know what to say. He's run twice and he's lost both times. I don't know what to say. All right, I'm not seeing whoever said whatever. And, you know, a lot of Bernie supporters will say, oh, the DNC rigged it. It's like, I don't know, man. Can Bernie win it? I don't think Bernie can win a primary in South Carolina. A lot of the 2020 results, like, I know people say, well, all these people dropped out before. It's like, okay, then there were 2 options, and Bernie didn't win. You know, he couldn't win a primary in South Carolina, Alabama, Arkansas, Maine, Massachusetts, Minnesota. You know, he couldn't win in these states. I don't know what to say. All right, Raw Vegan Goddess, tell me what video from Midas Touch you want me to watch. Hillary should have had Bernie as VP. Maybe. Do you think the MAGA cult will die during Trump's administration? I don't know. Philip H. says, quit entertaining the Blue Anon folks saying it was stolen. It was an effort on the right to get us to do what they were smarter than them. Zero evidence. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm happy to see any concrete evidence. I'm happy to look at it, but I haven't seen any, so. Peter Collingwood said, MAGA is here for a long time. I kind of agree with that. Clint says, there's a possibility that MAGA will suffer if people wake up after Trump causes enough damage. Didn't he caused a lot of damage in 2020? I mean, if he causes economic damage, he did cause economic damage in 2020. He just gets a blanket excuse of it was the pandemic. It's like, I don't know. All right, I'm getting tired and hungry. I can't think straight anymore. I can't read straight anymore. Thank you all for tuning in. I think I had over 400 people, so I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. Don't get down. Keep your head up. Try not to focus on every word that Trump says in the next 4 years, because that'll drive you nuts. Just try to focus on concretely the things that he's doing, the things that you disagree with, and be active in those arenas. That's my advice. Good night.